Hey everyone, before we jump into today's explosive story, I need your help for just a second. We're on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you watching makes a massive difference. If you're enjoying the content, the breakdowns, the real talk that nobody else is giving you, please hit that subscribe button right now. It only takes a second, but it means everything to growing this channel and bringing you more of the content you love. Let's build this community together. Now let's get into it. The Cleveland Browns are in absolute chaos right now, and what I'm about to tell you is going to change everything you thought you knew about this quarterback situation. Tony Rizzo just went nuclear on his radio show, and the information he dropped has the entire organization scrambling. We're talking about secret plans, backroom decisions, and a complete betrayal of what Kevin Stefanski has been feeding us from that podium every single week. Dillon Gabriel has been propped up as the starter, the guy who gives them the best chance to win, while Shedeur sits on that bench watching this train wreck unfold. But according to multiple sources that spoke directly to Rizzo, everything we've been told is a lie. There's a plan in motion, and it involves handing the football to the rookie for the final 4 games of this season, no matter what happens between now and then. Rizzo said it plain as day. 2 different sources at the stadium told him that Shedeur will start against the Bears, Bills, Steelers, and Bengals unless the Browns somehow win out through the Titans game. One source even suggested he could be in play earlier than that. Think about what that means. While Stefanski stands at press conferences dodging questions and protecting Dillon Gabriel, people inside that building are already making plans to move on. They know what we all know. Gabriel isn't the answer. The offense is broken. And the only way to salvage anything from this disaster of a season is to see what they actually have in their first-round pick before they waste another year. Now let's talk about that Miami game, because that performance told us everything we need to know about where this coaching staff's head is at. On paper, beating the Dolphins 31-6 looks fantastic. It looks like the Browns are rolling. But if you actually watched that game, if you paid attention to how they won, you saw something completely different. You saw a defense that was absolutely elite, forcing 4 turnovers and shutting down Miami's offense like they weren't even trying. You saw Quentin Judkins running like a man possessed, bulldozing through defenders and carrying the offense on his back. And then you saw the passing game, or more accurately, you saw the complete absence of one. Dillon Gabriel threw the football 13 times. 13 in a full 4-quarter NFL game. That's not a game plan. That's a white flag. That's a coaching staff admitting they don't trust their quarterback to do anything more than hand the ball off and stay out of the way. When you only throw the ball 13 times in the modern NFL, you're not trying to win with your quarterback. You're trying to win despite him. And the most damning part of the entire game happened in the red zone when they had first and goal. This is where quarterbacks prove themselves. This is where you put the ball in your starter's hands and let him go make a play. Except Kevin Stefanski didn't do that. Instead of trusting Dillon Gabriel to execute even the most basic play, they pulled out the Wildcat formation and snapped the ball directly to Quentin Judkins. Let that sink in for a second. The Wildcat, a formation that hasn't been a legitimate part of an NFL offense since Josh Cribbs was running it over a decade ago. They literally took the ball out of Dillon Gabriel's hands, moved him out wide like he was some kind of decoy, and ran a gimmick play because they didn't trust him to hand the football off properly. That's not a play call, that's a public execution. That's the head coach and offensive coordinator standing in front of 70,000 people and millions watching at home saying we have no faith in this guy whatsoever. You don't bust out a relic from 2008 unless you are desperate, unless your starting quarterback has given you absolutely no reason to believe he can get the job done. And Jerry Jeudy knows it too. You could see it all over his face on the sideline. This is a guy who came to Cleveland to be a #1 receiver, to be a playmaker, to put up numbers and help this team win. What did he get? 2 catches for 17 yards. He stood on that sideline looking frustrated, looking defeated, because he knows he's stuck in an offense that refuses to let the quarterback throw the football. He's watching opportunities slip away week after week because Dillon Gabriel either can't get him the ball or isn't allowed to try. This is a recipe for disaster, and everyone in that locker room can feel it. But here's where it gets even uglier. Let's talk about Dillon Gabriel's actual performance over the last couple weeks, because the numbers don't lie even if the coaching staff tries to spin them. In the last 2 games combined, Gabriel has thrown the football 71 times, 71 attempts. games. You know how many touchdowns he's thrown in those 71 passes? 0. Not a single one. He hasn't found the end zone through the air in 2 straight weeks. And yesterday, they literally had to take the ball away from him just to score. But wait, it gets worse. The narrative around Gabriel has always been that he's a safe player, a game manager who doesn't turn the ball over. Except that's complete nonsense. Against Pittsburgh, he threw 53 passes, and according to people who were there, he should have been picked off 6 times. 6, but the Steelers defenders couldn't catch. They dropped every single gift he gave them. In London against Minnesota, there were 2 more balls that went straight into defenders' hands that also got dropped. And yesterday against Miami, he did throw an interception, a terrible one, but it got called back on a phantom penalty that even the broadcast crew said was bogus. So when you add it all up, this supposedly safe quarterback has been one defender's competent hands away from throwing 9 interceptions. 9. He's not protecting the ball. He's getting bailed out by incompetent defenses and lucky flags. He's not playing smart football. He's playing scared football, and eventually that luck is going to run out. We've already seen what happens when he tries to push the ball downfield. Remember that wide open Jerry Jeudy in the back of the end zone against Pittsburgh? A throw that every starting NFL quarterback should make in their sleep. Gabriel sailed it over his head, completely missed him. That's a layup, and he couldn't convert. Those are the moments that define whether you're a franchise guy or just a stopgap, and Gabriel has failed that test repeatedly. Now I know some people are going to say they won the game, they're 3-4, why are we complaining? And look, I get it, wins matter, but winning with smoke and mirrors isn't sustainable. You can't rely on your defense to force 4 turnovers every single week. You can't expect Quentin Judkins to run for 150 yards every game. Eventually, you're going to face a team where the defense doesn't bail you out, where the run game gets stuffed, and when that happens, you need your quarterback to step up and win the game with his arm. Can Dillon Gabriel do that? Based on everything we've seen, absolutely not. And that's exactly why Tony Rizzo's report is so explosive, because it confirms what everyone already suspected. The Browns know Gabriel isn't the guy, and they're already planning to move on. This is where the media spin becomes really interesting, because for weeks now, guys like Tony Grossi and others who are connected to the organization have been pushing this idea that Shedeur Sanders isn't ready. They've been telling us he's struggling with the playbook, that he's not impressing in practice, that there's no reason to make a change. But if all of that is true, then why are multiple sources inside the Browns organization telling Tony Rizzo that Shedeur is going to start the last 4 games of the season? Why would they be planning a 4-game audition for a guy who supposedly isn't progressing? The answer is obvious. They've been lying. The media has been running cover for the coaching staff, trying to buy Dillon Gabriel more time, trying to avoid a quarterback controversy that would make everyone look bad. But the truth always comes out, and Tony Rizzo just ripped the curtain down. Rizzo has connections in that building that go back decades. This isn't some random hot take artist making stuff up for clicks. When he says 2 separate sources told him the same thing, you better believe it's real. And what those sources are saying is that the Browns have already made their decision. Shedeur Sanders is going to get his shot. The only question is whether it happens in December like they're planning, or if something forces their hand earlier. And honestly, after watching Dillon Gabriel's last few performances, I don't know how they make it to December without pulling the trigger. Let's talk about what this means for Kevin Stefanski, because his handling of this entire situation has been an absolute disaster. The man refuses to give straight answers about anything. Every press conference is the same vague coach speak nonsense. Dillon's our starter. We have confidence in our room. We're evaluating everything week to week. That's not leadership, that's cowardice. Your fan base isn't stupid. They can see what's happening on the field. They watched you run the Wildcat because you don't trust your quarterback. They've watched Dillon throw 71 passes without a touchdown. They know the offense is broken, so why keep pretending everything is fine? Why keep feeding them the same garbage when everyone knows it's not true? The lack of transparency is insulting, and now that Rizzo's report is out there, Stefanski is going to have to answer for it. The media is going to press him, fans are going to demand clarity, and at some point, he's going to have to stop hiding behind meaningless platitudes and tell us what the actual plan is. Is Shedeur Sanders the future of this franchise? Because based on what we're hearing, the answer is yes. So why are we wasting time pretending otherwise? Here's what I think is really happening behind the scenes. The Browns made a mistake. They thought thought Dillon Gabriel was the safe choice coming out of training camp. They thought his college success at Oregon would translate to the NFL. They thought his experience would give them a high floor, a guy who wouldn't lose them games. But what they got instead is a quarterback who can't make the throws that matter, who panics under pressure, and who has been one lucky bounce away from having one of the worst statistical seasons in recent memory. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders has been sitting there, watching, learning, and from what I'm hearing, absolutely lighting it up in practice. He's doing everything they've asked of him, but they couldn't just bench Gabriel 3 games into the season without it looking like total chaos. So they've been riding it out, hoping Dillon would give them a reason to stick with him, except every week he gives them more reasons to make the change. And now the dam is breaking. Sources are talking. Rizzo is reporting it. The fan base is screaming for Shedeur. Even Jerry Jeudy looks like he's ready to demand a trade if he has to run another route just to watch a check down get thrown for 3 yards. The pressure is building, and it's only a matter of time before something gives. The timing actually works out perfectly if they wanted to make the move. You've got the Patriots this week, then a bye. That's 2 weeks to prepare Shedeur, to get him all the first team reps, to install the real offense instead of this watered down version they're running for Gabriel. You tell him after the Patriots game that he's the starter. You give him the bye week to get ready, and then you unleash him for the final stretch of the season. Bears, Bills, Steelers, Bengals. That's a real test. That's a chance to see what you actually have in this kid. Because right now, the Browns are wasting everyone's time. They're wasting Shedeur's development. They're wasting an elite defense that's playing at a championship level. They're wasting weapons like Jerry Jeudy and Quentin Judkins, all because they're too stubborn or too scared to admit they got the quarterback situation completely wrong. But according to Tony Rizzo's sources, that admission is coming. It's just a question of when. Now we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the ghost haunting this entire franchise. Deshaun Watson. Yeah, that Deshaun Watson. The guy who's still on the roster getting paid an ungodly amount of guaranteed money and who just got cleared to return to activities after tearing his Achilles. He's back in the building, he's working out, and suddenly this already chaotic quarterback room just became an absolute circus. Think about what this looks like. You've got Dillon Gabriel, the struggling starter who's being publicly undermined. You've got Shedeur Sanders, the rookie who secretly has a starting date in December. You've got Bailey Zapp hanging around as the third string guy. And now you've got Deshaun Watson lurking in the background, rehabbing, still owed a fortune, and impossible to move. What kind of message does that send to your locker room? How is anyone supposed to succeed when there are 4 different potential starters and absolutely no clarity about the future? This is where Kevin Stefanski's leadership is being exposed. A head coach's job isn't just calling plays, it's creating a clear vision, getting everyone pulling in the same direction, establishing stability. But Stefanski has done the opposite. He's created a rotating door at the most important position on the field. Joe Flacco started the year and got traded. Kenny Pickett was in the competition and got shipped out. Now we're on Dillon Gabriel with whispers that Shedeur is next. And oh, by the way, the $230 million man might be coming back eventually. How is anyone supposed to develop in that environment? How is Shedeur supposed to grow when he doesn't know if he's getting 4 games or 4 years? How is Dillon supposed to play with confidence when he knows he's a dead man walking? The instability is killing this team, and Stefanski refuses to address it head on. But here's why Shedeur deserves this opportunity and why the Browns would be smart to give it to him sooner rather than later. Dillon Gabriel is playing terrified football. He's checking down constantly, afraid to take chances, protecting his own statistics instead of trying to win games. And even with all that caution, he's still been lucky that defenders keep dropping his passes. That's not sustainable. Eventually those balls get caught, and when they do, the whole game manager narrative is going to flip to turnover machine real fast. Shedeur, on the other hand, has shown us what he can do. We saw him at Colorado playing under Deion Sanders in one of the most high-pressure environments college football has ever seen. Every game was a national spectacle. Every throw was analyzed to death. Every mistake was magnified 1,000 times. And what did he do? He thrived. He showed poise, accuracy, and the ability to make plays when everything broke down. Those are traits that translate to the NFL. I know the critics are going to say, he's a rookie, he needs time, the playbook is complicated, and sure, every rookie needs development. But you know what stunts development more than anything? Sitting on the bench, holding a clipboard, watching a struggling veteran run the offense into the ground. Shedeur isn't learning anything valuable watching Dillon Gabriel check it down for 116 yards and run wildcat formations. He needs real reps, real game experience, real chances to succeed and fail. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. And if Tony Rizzo's sources are correct, and let's be clear, Rizzo has legitimate high-level connections, then the Browns already know this. They're already planning to give Shedeur those reps. The only question is whether they waste another month or pull the trigger now. Why wait? The season is already slipping away. Every week they stick with Dillon Gabriel is another week they're not developing their potential franchise quarterback. Every game they run this broken offense is another game they're wasting an elite defense and talented weapons. The smart move, the obvious move, is to make the change now and see what you have. Give Shedeur the rest of the season to show whether he's the future or if you need to keep looking. Because one thing is absolutely certain, Dillon Gabriel is not it. This brings us back to the media war that's been raging behind the scenes. Guys like Tony Grossi have been pushing the narrative that Shedeur isn't ready, but Rizzo's leak proves that's not what the organization actually believes. They clearly see him as the future. They clearly have plans to start him. So why has the establishment media been so negative about him? I think it's because they were trying to protect Dillon Gabriel's confidence and avoid creating a controversy. They were doing the team's dirty work, downplaying Shedeur's progress to make it seem like Dillon was the unquestioned guy. But all that did was create false expectations and delay the inevitable. The truth is out now, and it doesn't look good for the people who've been spinning this story. Because if Dillon Gabriel was really the guy, you wouldn't be hearing about Shedeur starting in December. If Dillon was really the guy, you wouldn't be running the Wildcat in the red zone. If Dillon was really the guy, Jerry Jeudy wouldn't be standing on the sideline looking miserable. The Browns are at a crossroads. They can keep going down this path of guaranteed mediocrity with Gabriel, hoping he magically becomes something he's never been. Or they can embrace the future, give Shedeur Sanders the opportunity he's earned, and find out if they've got a franchise quarterback on their roster. Based on what Tony Rizzo reported, it sounds like they're choosing option 2. And after watching weeks of this offensive disaster, it's the right call. It's the only call. Shedeur has the arm talent. He's got the poise. He's got the pedigree of being coached by Deion Sanders his entire life, which means he's been preparing for this exact pressure his entire existence. And if the Browns actually give him the full playbook, real weapons, and a chance to operate without training wheels, I think he's gonna surprise a lot of people. Will he be perfect? Number. He's a rookie. There will be growing pains and mistakes, but I would much rather watch a rookie making mistakes while trying to make plays than watch a veteran play scared and check his way into irrelevance. The clock is ticking on Kevin Stefanski. His job security is now tied directly to this decision. If he sticks with Dillon Gabriel too long and this season spirals into a 5-win disaster, he's gone. Fired. Done. But if he makes the switch to Shedeur and the kid shows flashes, shows he's the real deal, then Stefanski looks like a genius who had the guts to make a tough call. It's a risk, but it's one he has to take. And to all the Shedeur doubters out there, the ones who've been parroting the line about him not being ready, I've got one simple question. If that's true, then why are sources inside the Browns organization telling Tony Rizzo that he's starting in December? Why would they plan a 4-game audition if they didn't believe in him? The answer is simple. They do believe in him. They've just been too cowardly to admit it publicly. But the secret is out now. Tony Rizzo made sure of that. And Kevin Stefanski is going to have to answer for it. The media is going to press him harder than ever. The fans are going to demand answers. And sooner or later, he's going to have to stop hiding behind vague coach speak and tell everyone the truth. Is Shedeur Sanders the future of the Cleveland Browns? Because from where I'm sitting, it sure looks like he is. And if that's the case, why are we waiting? Why not give him the ball right now and let him show us what he's got? The last 4 games of this season just became must-watch television. Bears, Bills, Steelers, Bengals. If Shedeur gets those starts like Rizzo's sources say he will, we're gonna find out real quick whether the Browns finally got this right. The smoke and mirrors are over. The truth is coming out, and Shedeur Sanders is about to get his shot whether Kevin Stefanski is ready to admit it or not. This is the biggest story of the Cleveland Browns season, maybe the biggest story in years. What do you think? Should the Browns start Shedeur Sanders before December? Should they make the switch right after the bye week, or should they stick with Dylan Gabriel and ride this broken offense into the ground? Drop a comment right now and tell me what you think, because this decision is going to define everything moving forward. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because I'm going to be covering every single development in this story as it unfolds. When Shedeur gets his shot, and trust me he will, you're going to want to be here for it. This is about to get real interesting, and we're just getting started.